everybody, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode brought to you by Performance Inspired Nutrition. That's pi-nutrition.com. Now, in the midst of all of this corona stuff, I know we've all been eating more than we should. And I know for me personally, it's like, all right, it's time to get back on the wagon, trying to get healthy, shed some of the pounds we've put on over being this quarantine thing and being locked in our houses and everything. Well, Performance Inspired Nutrition has you covered. So if you're thinking about wanting to start working out again and getting that body in shape in a healthy way with all natural products, you need to check out the Workout Starter Supplement Bundle from Performance Inspired. You're taking that first step to living a more active and healthy lifestyle. Performance Inspired is pulled together. They've bundled a great variety of products to help you on your mission to become more active. You can get started now and stay inspired. Now, in this bundle, you're going to get the Performance Whey protein. You can choose your flavor. That's what I drink. The shake I drink every single morning gives me energy all day. I absolutely love it. Keeps me full. I don't feel like I need to eat every 35 minutes. You're also going to get the pre-workout energy formula, which is awesome. Now, when I make the decision to get back in the gym, I'm going to add this into my regimen as well. But this bundle already comes with it. So you can even choose your flavor there. You're also going to get a bottle of the Whole Food Multivitamin. It gives you everything that you need in a multivitamin. It's great. I take that as well. Plus, because you're going to get the pre-workout shakes and the Performance Whey protein, you're going to need a shaker blender bottle. And this bundle comes with that PI co-branded blender bottle as well. And you want to look awesome in the gym. And so they're going to send you a Performance Inspired logo shirt as well as a part of this bundle. Plus, to keep you feeling full all day without reaching for those cookies or ice cream or those coveted things that we all know we love, you're going to get an entire box of 12 of Performance Inspired protein bars. You can also choose your flavor. They've got peanut butter bliss, chocolate wow, salted caramel escape, and vanilla almond. So you're ready to start working out again. You want to shed those pounds, but you need to do it in an all natural, healthy way. You can do that with Mark Wahlberg's Performance Inspired with the Workout Starter Supplement Bundle. You can find it at pi-nutrition.com. Just don't forget, save some money. Enter code STEVE at checkout to receive 10% off. That's right. Lose the pounds, do it healthy, get started now, and stay inspired with Performance Inspired. pi-nutrition.com. We're also brought to you by artistdevelopmentacademy.com. If you are a singer, songwriter, artist, engineer, producer, you want to take your career to the next level, the best way to do it is by instruction, information, access, and guidance to the people who have been there and have been successful. Learn from the best at artistdevelopmentacademy.com. All access members, listen to this. You get access to the entire library of existing online courses. Plus, you're going to get a brand new online course every single month. You're going to get access to the members only forum where you can post your work for feedback from industry insiders, hit songwriters, platinum selling producers, Grammy nominees, Grammy winners. You can get that feedback that you need to keep you on the road to making your music great. So you get the members only forum. You get access to all of the online courses. Plus you get access to the monthly live streams where you can connect with instructors to play your music, get answers to your questions, and have that access that you need to take your career to the next level. Now, nothing about the Artist Development Academy is about fame. It's not about helping you achieve fame. It's about helping you achieve success, how to monetize your music. That's even a course in the Academy right now, how to monetize your music. Start making money with your music, and that way you can take your career to the next level. Check it out, artistdevelopmentacademy.com. Okay. Now, also, you can save 30% off your annual membership, which right now I think it's $150 for the entire year or $19 a month. But either way, you can save 30% by entering code STEVE at checkout. You can also find, if you want to take them for a test drive, you can find the free Artist Development Masterclass hosted by yours truly, where I think it's over 4.5, 5 hours, where I went into detail about how to develop your career from a base level. It's the Artist Development Masterclass. You can take it for free. You can get that at my site, thestevefreeman.com, or you can get it at artistdevelopmentacademy.com. If you choose to become a member, don't forget, enter code Steve at checkout with either membership, and you're immediately, right there on the spot, you're going to get 30% off. That's artistdevelopmentacademy.com. Well, we've officially decided we are dumping the Confederate flag. There are some changes at the Recording Academy with the Grammys, and Lady Antebellum has officially changed their name, and it is causing a shitstorm. Sometimes we should probably just look before we leap. Gone with the Wind is gone with the wind. It's all stuff we're going to talk about in today's episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast.
You're listening to the Steve Freeman Podcast, the real, raw truth about the pursuit of success in music, business, and life. Here's your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling producer, and serial entrepreneur, Steve Freeman.
I can tell you all, it is so good to be back with you. I hope you forgive me for not uploading a couple episodes last week. We took a family vacation and went out to Utah, spent some time in Utah, and then we drove all the way up to Polson, Montana, and then back to Nashville. It was a very long drive, very long trip. We had a great time, though. We really did. I just love it out west. We're going to be moving out there in about a year. And so I wanted to take the entire family out there to see everything that I've been seeing going out there and working and doing some stuff out there. And it was a great trip for that reason. I got to tell you, if you've never been to Montana, you got to go see Montana. Montana, especially the Polson area, the lake up, it's absolutely beautiful, peaceful. I actually had episodes that were recorded that I was going to upload from the road. Then I was going to do one episode while we were out there. And I just, every once in a while, you just need to hit the pause button or hit the stop button. And that's kind of what I felt when I got out there. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to not mix too much business with the pleasure, and I'm just going to relax and try to have a good time and not even worry about the podcast. I didn't do hardly any work at all while I was there, and it was nice. So forgive me for just taking a complete week off, but we are back, and I'm excited about being back. I did keep my kind of finger on the pulse via social media and some news outlets of everything that is going on, because we're in a rough spot in this country, man. I'm just telling you, it scares me when I look around at what we're willing to do, the concessions that we're willing to make to change life. I saw the story come across about NASCAR making the announcement that they are banning the Confederate flag. And you for those of you that are NASCAR fans, which I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big NASCAR fan. I appreciate it. I from time to time, I enjoy it. But knowing what I know about the sport, it is a mostly largely Southern based sport. And you very rarely could turn on a NASCAR race when they're, scanning the crowd or, the inside circle there where all the RVs are. I mean, you see a lot of Confederate flags flying because of what's going on in the country. And this comes up every time something happens, like what happened, whether it's George Floyd or anybody else. This whole thing starts again about taking down the monuments, getting rid of the Confederate flag. Now, I'm going to be honest with you about something. I could care less about the Confederate flag. For me, my first realization of the Confederate flag was like most people my age, and that was the Dukes of Hazzard. It was on the General Lee. It was on the roof of the General Lee. And so that made it cool. That is my extent of how much I care about the Confederate flag. Along with doing away with it, by the way, also, I don't know if you saw this, but the Army, the Marine Corps, they're all doing away and banning the Confederate flag. So on bases and things like that, you're not allowed to have a bumper sticker with it on it. Anything on your clothing, it is completely banned. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that, I guess here's my point. I'm afraid that if we try to cover up, erase, or forget our history, we are destined to repeat it. Slavery was a horrible thing. And I know for many, many people, many Americans, that the Confederate flag or the Confederate statues that are at courthouses and different places all across the South, I understand how that can be a symbolism of slavery. I also understand the other side of the argument. People say that it doesn't have anything to do with slavery. But it's a tough situation to look and see what's going on around the country right now, that there is a group of people that is completely trying to erase history, which is impossible. I even saw a story last week about, they're taking down all these statues all over the South. And one of them that they removed was a statue of an abolitionist. This guy fought for 30 years against slavery. And they tore his statue down, defaced it, painted it all over it, graffiti all over it, and then tore it down like it was some major victory. And I'm sitting there thinking, whoa, wait a minute, guys. You don't even know enough about your history to take action about it today. You're running around and taking down all these statues. In the midst of all that, you take down a statue of an abolitionist who actually fought against slavery. That's what scares me. And what scares me most about this generation is, like I just said, they have no fucking clue about history, because that type of history is not taught in our classrooms anymore. So they wouldn't know that he fought against slavery because they had no idea who the statue was of. And they just went up and started tearing him down because they assumed that he stood as a racist. And then more story. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think we tend to go a little too far to placate and to make people happy. So for me, like I said, the Confederate flag was all about the General Lee for me. And there was nothing wrong with the Dukes of Hazzard, the Bo and Luke and Daisy and Uncle Jesse. I don't believe any of them were racist. But I'm sure we're going to see a petition and movement to get the Dukes of Hazzard taken off TV. It's coming. As far as the police thing that's going on, did you see where they are going to be removing, Pet Patrol or something like that? Because one of the dogs in the Disney show is a police officer. Was it Paw Patrol? I think it's Paw Patrol, something like that. But they want it taken off the air. They even want other shows like Law and Order or NCIS. Live PD is one of the biggest shows on television. They've canceled it, taken it off the air. I think we're going too far. Gone with the Wind is Gone with the Wind. They've removed it from all streaming platforms. It's not available. Supposedly, they are going in and doing a re-edit to where they take all of the supposed racial connotations and slavery out of the movie. Again, trying to erase history. Aunt Jemima syrup will no longer be called Aunt Jemima syrup. Now, guys, I want to give you my 2 cents here, okay? The glory of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights is not that you never have the right to not be offended. Listen very closely to this. Our constitutional rights do not give us the right to never be offended. They give us the right to be offended and then to be vocal about it without prosecution or persecution. There are many things in this life, in this world, that offend me. There's a lot of speech that offends me, but that speech is protected. I don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. We do not have to agree on everything. We don't have to like every word that comes out of everybody's mouth. Furthermore, we don't have to argue every time something comes out of the mouth of somebody that we don't agree with, whether it's politics, whether it's race, whether it's Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. These are things that shouldn't be up for debate. Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Cops Lives Matter, Yellow Lives Matter, Pink Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. Everybody matters. And what's surprising to me is that seems to be up for debate. And now if somebody says all lives matter, they're not being sympathetic enough in saying and lifting up Black Lives Matter above all lives. This is ridiculous. It's getting to the point of insanity. And when it gets to this point, people make stupid fucking choices and stupid decisions. Let's talk about one of the most stupid things I have seen in my entire life. Lady Antebellum has decided they are going to change their name to Lady A, officially change their name to Lady A, because antebellum conjures up symbolisms of racism, because the term, most people, by the way, I think this is stupid, because anybody that knows what antebellum stood for in a relation to Lady Antebellum had to fucking look it up. I'm going to go out there on a limb and say 99% of people had to look it up because they had no idea what antebellum stood for. It's pre-war. It's describing a time period which houses and things that from the South, they would call them the old houses, Lady Antebellum. So that's where they took their name. They said they got their name from doing a photo shoot of one of those type houses early on in their career, and they thought the name was cool. Okay, so since Lady Antebellum came out, it's been Lady Antebellum. But I will say, everybody in the industry and everybody has called them Lady A for years, unofficially. Well, now they have decided to change their name officially to Lady A. Now, here's my argument. If you're changing your name to Lady A and the A still stands for antebellum, here's your sign. I mean, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, it was the stupidest thing. Just the name change alone was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Then I read the statement from the band. And then I was like, okay, now this is officially the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm going to read you the statement because I think it's important for you to hear. This is how far we're going in this country. Here's the statement from Lady A. As a band, we've strived for our music to be a refuge, inclusive of all. We've watched and listened more than ever these last few weeks, and our hearts have been stirred with conviction and our eyes open wide to the injustices, inequality, and bias Black women and men have always faced and continue to face every day. Now, blind spots we didn't even know exist have been revealed. After much personal reflection, band discussion, player, and many honest conversations with some of our closest Black friends and colleagues, we have decided to drop the word antebellum from our name and move forward as Lady A, the nickname our fans gave us almost from the start. When we set out together almost 14 years ago, we named our band after the Southern antebellum-style homes where we took our first photos. As musicians, it reminded us all of the music born in the South that influenced us: Southern rock, blues, R&B, gospel, and of course, country. Notice country's last there. But we are regretful and embarrassed to say that we did not take into account the associations that weigh down this word, referring to the period of history before the Civil War, which includes slavery. We are deeply sorry for the hurt this has caused and for anyone who has felt unsafe, unseen, or unvalued. Causing pain was never our heart's intention, but it doesn't change the fact that, indeed, it did just that. So today we speak up and make a change. We hope you will dig in and join us. We feel like we have been awakened, but this is just one step. There are countless more that need to be taken. We want to do better. We are committed to examining our individual and collective impact and making the necessary changes to practice anti-racism. We will continue to educate ourselves, have hard conversations, and search the parts of our hearts that need pruning. To grow into better humans, better neighbors, our next outward step will be a donation to the Equal Justice Initiative through Lady Aid. Our prayer is that if we lead by example with humility, love, empathy, and action, We can do better. We can be better allies to those suffering from spoken and unspoken injustices while influencing our children and generations to come. That is the statement from Lady A. Now, I've never heard, I will go out here, I will say that I could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but I will say that I could be. I have never heard one time of anybody ever being upset about Lady Antebellum and the name of their band. They say in their statement that their name has caused pain. I've never run into anybody that thought that any of the members of the band, Charles, Hillary, or the other guy, I have never heard of anybody thinking that they were racist or that they were racially insensitive or that the name of their band caused any kind of pain whatsoever. Number one, you can read the statement and know that it was completely prepared. To me, this is a horrible PR move to try to stay relevant in the midst of the topic of conversation of the day, the big issue of the day. All because the word antebellum refers to a time period when there was slavery. Guys, so many things come from the time period of slavery, industry, business, so many different things. Just because it comes from that period does not mean that it has any association with racism or slavery. To come out and say that the name of your band has caused people pain and has hurt people and has alienated people is just absolutely and utterly the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Get real. I'm going to say something I said earlier. If we try to erase, or if we're successful in erasing our history, we will repeat it. And I for one, and I've talked over the last couple of episodes about what is going on around our country. And I stand with those people that want to see change. There does need to be change in this country. There is racial inequality. There is racial injustice. There are racist and biased cops out there. But the one thing that I do know and that I believe with all my heart is that that's 1%. And I don't think that it's right that we go try to change everything based on a small problem. Now, does that small problem have huge ramifications throughout our society? It absolutely does. Black people are incarcerated for longer and at a much higher rate than white people committing the same crimes. That is a problem. It is a big problem. And it needs to be fixed. But I think as a people, we are going too far. I think we are creating a scenario of fear in our everyday life. We're now afraid that we're not going to say the right thing. We're now afraid that we're going to appear as a racist when we don't speak loud enough, we don't speak up enough, or we don't say the things that we are told that we should say. If we don't all agree on exactly every point that one side wants to say is how it should be, then we're automatically the enemy. And I'm starting to feel like that a lot of what's going on right now are actually creating more enemies than creating allies. And in any war, anybody that has 3 brain cells can look at what's going on right now, and you can see that what's going on is a war. You go look at what's going on in Seattle. That's going to be an ugly situation. That is not going to end pretty. But in able to win a war, you have to have allies. And if you want to get those allies, You have to accept those allies as they come, and you have to accept on face value when we say we're with you, we're with you. There's no need for you to give us a script so that we know exactly what you want us to say, because that removes the ability for each of us to be individuals. That is the purpose of our Constitution. That is the founding fathers' vision, is for us to be able to be individuals, for us to have rights, for us to have First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, and on and on and on. We have to be allowed to be individuals. We have to be able to have our own belief systems. Some of these belief systems that we are allowed to have and afforded under the Constitution are not right. Some of them we do not agree with. When it comes to free speech, I said earlier, there are a lot of things that people use their freedom of speech to say or to express that I don't agree with. And just because every time I don't say something when I don't agree with it doesn't mean that I agree with it. Again, your constitutional rights are not there to make sure that you are protected and never offended. They actually exist to give you the right to be offended. Because there are a lot of people around the world that live in societies and cultures where they are not allowed to be offended and be vocal about it. It's the way we tell you it is, and that's it. So are there changes that need to be made in this country? There are absolutely changes that need to be made. I'm afraid we're going too far. I think this situation with Lady Antebellum is going way too far. Nobody gives two shits about your fucking name. It's never caused anybody pain. It's never made... tell me the last time somebody thought of Lady Antebellum and they thought the racism and slavery. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's taking advantage of a situation, in my opinion. Now, I will say maybe they are coming from a good place, and maybe what they're saying in their statement is 100% true. But I also see it as taking advantage of a situation. I see a lot of that going on right now, as a matter of fact. People bringing out songs and talking about subjects when they never talk about this stuff before. And taking advantage of the situation to get eyes on or get noticed or promotion for something that nobody would normally care about under any other set of circumstances. And that's what I think we've got here with the Lady Antebellum name change. As far as the Confederate flag, ban the motherfucker. I don't care. I really don't care. We are so far past that point in our history that if you are one of these people out there, and I think the people that are holding on to this thing and are just, you just want to fight. Because honestly, I'm 43 years old and I could care less about the Confederate flag. It's not, I appreciate what happened. I appreciate the Civil War. You can go back and you look at what these people fought for on both sides. They were fighting for an idealism that they believed with their whole hearts in. And I appreciate that. That is what our country is founded on. But here we are so much later in time. And to think that the Confederate flag means something to us today and is relevant today, it does not. And that's just my opinion. I don't care if I ever saw it again or not. I also don't care if you want to wear something with the Confederate flag on it. Maybe it does mean something to you. But because of our constitutional rights, we also have to understand that when you exercise your right to do that, other people have the right to be offended and be vocal about it and to speak out about it and to say that they don't agree and to say that it's offensive. That's the great thing about this country, guys and girls. We have the right to offend others, and we have the right to be offended by others. I'm afraid we are trying to childproof our country. And I'm afraid that a lot of the things that we're doing will not be able to be undone. I remember what it's like having small children and childproofing the entire house where they can't get into cabinets. You plug the things in the power outlets and the sockets so you create an environment where it is impossible for them to get hurt. But guys, at some point we grow because we get hurt. When something causes us pain, it leaves a scar and a mark in us to tell us we need to avoid that or we need to change that. We cannot use what's going on in our country right now, whether it's the coronavirus or whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the riots. We cannot use any of these situations to put ourselves in a bubble. We have to be exposed to things. Otherwise, having rights is useless. If we're all just going to play nice and we're all going to believe the same thing and we're all going to chant the same thing and we don't have any source of disagreement whatsoever, we're going to create a very boring world that's going to get old really quick. So on the Confederate flag, I don't care one way or the other. If you feel passionate about it, then you speak up about it on either side of the issue. I do get frustrated when I see things like this Lady A thing because I'm sorry, it just screams of a publicity move. And it's going to backfire because there's been another artist known as Lady A officially for years, a blues artist. And she has come out and said, I am not changing my name. All of that could have been done with a very simple search, trademark search even. Or maybe even just a Google search for Lady A and see what comes up. But we make stupid decisions when we're trying to placate. When we're trying to grab some attention and get our voices heard, sometimes being the loudest voice in the room comes with consequences. And I believe that this is going to be one of those situations. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But guys, seriously, if we try our best to erase our history, we are destined to repeat it. So think carefully. I think it's great seeing all of the posts on social media that I've seen from people. And I don't know about you, but the last week or so, I've noticed kind of a shift, kind of a change. And it's getting back to being more about support and change than what it started out to being. Because I think we can all agree there are changes that need to be made. There are injustices that exist in our country that have needed to change for a very long time. I don't know if you haven't seen the Dave Chappelle 8 minutes and 46 seconds video on YouTube, I highly suggest that you go check it out. It's pretty powerful and it's real and it's raw. There's no agenda. It's one man's thoughts. And I found it was one of the things that to me was completely non-Fox News related, non-MSNBC, non-CNN. There was no political agenda behind what Dave Chappelle was talking about. But I saw the raw emotion of one person that this has affected and how it's affected me. If you haven't watched it, I believe it's still trending on YouTube. Go check it out. It's Dave Chappelle. It's 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I think it's something that everybody should watch because I think he makes the best case out of anything that I've seen so far for why there needs to be change. And I think that's valuable. We need smart, real people offering solutions, not politicians, not people far to the right, not people far to the left. We need the majority of Americans to be making the decisions. And most of us live somewhere in the middle. We're not alt-right. We're not alt-left. We're right here in the middle. There are so many more of us in the middle than there are on either end. We've got to get together as real people, and we've got to lead and spearhead the change that is going to make this a better country for everybody. I don't think we do that by taking a hard stance on either side. I don't think we do that by trying to erase our heritage and erase our history. Is some part of our history and our heritage ugly and despisable? It absolutely is. But it's not all that way. And unfortunately, we are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Guys, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. It's good to be back from vacation. It's good to be back in a normal routine. Got some great guests coming up on the podcast. So if you are not already, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe, whether you're listening on Apple Podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Any of those places, you can subscribe right there so the new episodes are automatically downloaded to your smartphone, device, tablet, wherever, every single time a new episode comes out on Monday and Friday. Anything we talked about, if you would like the links to go read more, discover more about what I'm talking about, you can find them in the show notes section of this podcast at thestevefreeman.com. Go to the website and click on show notes. Everything, and including a video version and audio version of this episode of the podcast, is available right there. Again, while you're on the site, if you want to join my inner circle, I would love to have you. You can enter your email address. You can join the inner circle. You can also take the Artist Development Masterclass. It's all right there for you. Also, don't forget, please check out our sponsors. They are supporting this show just like you, and I cannot thank them enough. Go check out pi-nutrition.com. That's performance-inspired nutrition from Mark Wahlberg and Tom Dowd, good friends of mine. All natural products to help you live a more healthy and active lifestyle. pi-nutrition.com. Anything you buy, make sure you enter code Steve at checkout, get 10% off your order immediately. And the Artist Development Academy. Go to artistdevelopmentacademy.com and become an all-access member. Take your career in the music business to the next level. Guys, keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for the Steve Freeman Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow Steve on social media at the Steve Freeman.